Good evening, I'm Simona Mangiante and tonight on Visione TV International we step beyond the slogans, beyond the soundbites to understand what is really happening in Ukraine and why the path to peace may not come from the West's endless escalation, but from leadership that dare to stand apart. I speak not just as a journalist and a commentator, but as someone who has spent years working on documentaries in Ukraine, walking its streets, listening to its people, and witnessing firsthand the fractures that the outsiders prefer to ignore. The conflict we see today did not begin in February 2022. Its roots stretch back over a decade to the Western-backed Maidan protests of 2014 that toppled a democratically elected government in Kiev. The moment celebrated in the West as a revolution of dignity was in reality the spark that divided Ukraine into two irreconcilable identities, one looking west and the other one bound by history, language and fate, Russia. From the rupture grew the Donbass War, a bloody forgotten conflict in which thousands of civilians died while the West looked away. For years, I interviewed people who ruled Ukraine and shaped its destiny, from former President Yushchenko to ministers to opposition voices. Voices that Western media either silenced or weaponized depending on whether the truth fit the narrative. The Biden administration not only failed to prevent this war, but dragged the entire Western bloc into it, bending European leaders into submissions with sanctions that devastated their own economies. Italy sacrificed its gas market, inflation soared, and all in the name of a philanthropic lie, the false dichotomy of an innocent invaded Ukraine versus an evil invasor Russia. And then came Donald Trump. Unlike his predecessors, Trump understood something very simple yet revolutionary. The peace comes not from demonization but from dialogue. Think of the 2018 Helsinki summit already, where Trump and Putin sat face to face. The media mocked it, politicians denounced it, but what they really feared was precisely what ordinary people crave, a chance to lower tensions to prevent needless deaths and to restore America's power not as a global policeman, but as a global deal maker. Contrast that with today's leadership and the past Biden administration that poured millions into prolonging the war, European leaders who once cheered Zelensky but now suddenly sense the wind shifting as Donald Trump returned to power, it's so obvious. Just days ago, during their August 15th meeting in Alaska, Vladimir Putin stated clearly, had Donald Trump been in power, Russia would not have started this war. That is not just a reflection, it is an indictment of Biden's reckless, weak, and ideological leadership. Meanwhile, in Washington, leaders gather to debate next steps, yet they know the truth. Militarily, Russia's not going anywhere. Economically, Europe is the one collapsing under sanctions. Politically, the winds of change are blowing. The truth is simple. Peace in Ukraine cannot be built on illusions of Russia's defeat. It must be built on the recognition of reality, on negotiations, on the courage to stand against the industrial military complex that profits from endless wars. And here is my conclusion. The so-called peace agreement the West will one day present as a diplomatic breakthrough will be nothing more, nothing less than the restoration of the Minsk agreements. Those agreements, signed in 2014 and 2015 and recognized by the United Nations, already laid out the path to peace. Ceasefire, withdrawal of heavy weapons, and autonomy for Donbass. If only Kiev and its Western sponsors had respected Minsk, this war would never have happened. No invasions, no destroyed cities, no lives sacrificed. And so, when the West finally signs what it will parade as the new peace deal, remember this, it will be nothing new at all. It will simply be the Minsk agreements recycled and rebranded, the very accords they once sabotaged. The tragedy is that millions suffered in the meantime. The irony is that peace was always on the table. And the final truth, the one history cannot erase, is that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin understood it long before anyone else dared to admit it. And the West would pretend it found peace when in reality it only admits years later that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin were right all along. This is Simona Mangiante and this is Visione TV International, where we bring you the stories others are too afraid to tell.